Okay, if you're a parent, you know this scene all too well, right? The kitchen table, homework's half finished, and you can just feel that frustration building. You look over, you see your kid just staring into space, doing anything but the work, and that one word just pops into your head: lazy. But what if it's not about their will at all? What if it's actually about their capacity? What if we've been looking at this whole thing completely backwards? And this quote, wow, this really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. It's a huge challenge to that knee-jerk assumption we can all have. It's asking us to look past the behavior we see on the surface and really think about the painful, hidden stuff that's going on underneath. So let's do that. Let's pull back the curtain. When we see a kid who looks like they're just refusing to work, what's really going on in their head? Well, a lot of the time, it's this silent, lonely struggle. It's filled with a kind of self-doubt that, as adults, we might not even see. I mean, just imagine this for a second. The teacher explained it once, right? But it just didn't click. And the thought of raising your hand again, of admitting you still don't get it, that can be absolutely terrifying for a kid. It feels so much easier to just sit there and be quiet than to risk looking, foolish. So what we see is them not paying attention. A lot of the time, it's just fear. Or how about this one? That sheer frustration when your brain feels like a leaky bucket. You try, you really do. You study, you try to remember, but the information just vanishes. Poof. And that's not a choice. It's this deeply demoralizing thing that makes a child start to question their own ability to learn, period. And after enough of those moments, after enough of that frustration, a lot of kids land on this just devastating conclusion. They turn it all inward. They decide the problem isn't the homework, the problem is them. But here's the thing, and I want to be absolutely clear about this. They are not stupid. Not even a little bit. Okay, so this is where we need to make a really fundamental shift in how we think. We have to stop seeing this as some kind of flaw in the child's character and start understanding it as a function of what's happening in their brain. It's about their condition, not their character. That's the key. And this slide, this really lays it all out. On the left, you've got our usual labels, right? Laziness, distraction, refusal. They're easy, they're quick, but they're also judgments. Then on the right, you see the real reason: brain overload. See, it's not a character flaw at all. It's an issue of capacity. So what is cognitive overload exactly? Well, think of your computer when you have like 50 tabs open at once. What happens? It slows down, it freezes up. Your brain does the exact same thing. When it gets flooded with too much information or the task is just too complex, it starts to shut down the non-essential stuff to cope. And that shutdown mode, it looks an awful lot like what we call laziness. But the most important part is right there at the end. This is not a choice. And once you get that, it honestly changes everything. It completely reframes the entire conversation. We stop talking about defiance and we start talking about ability. It's that critical shift from assuming a child doesn't want to asking if maybe, just maybe, they cannot. This right here, this is the switch we have to flip in our own heads. We have to move from thinking he doesn't want to do his homework to understanding he simply cannot do it right now. And why can't he? Because nobody's ever actually taught him the skills to manage his own brain. He hasn't been given the tools to organize all that information or to focus his attention when he feels overwhelmed. It's a skills gap, not a will gap. Big difference. So what happens when we finally make this shift? What happens when we stop punishing and we start supporting? Well, it's amazing. We don't just solve a homework problem. We can actually spark a true transformation in how a child sees themselves and how they see the world. Think about it. When a child finally feels like someone gets it, that natural curiosity, the thing that drives all learning, it starts to wake up again. And as we give them the tools to manage their thinking, they start to get these little wins, these small successes, and their confidence, which has been beaten down for so long, it starts to grow back. And suddenly, school and life, they stop being something you just have to endure, and they become something you can actually live in and be a part of again. And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. This isn't just about grades. It's about the brain. Our goal shouldn't be just to get the homework finished or to bump up a test score. The real goal, the much bigger goal, is to help a child understand and learn to manage their own mind. Because when you do that, the grades have a funny way of taking care of themselves. So I'll leave you with this one last thought to chew on. We spend so much time and energy trying to fix what we think are our kids' flaws. But what if the solution isn't about changing the child at all? What if it's about changing our understanding of how they learn? Maybe the most powerful tool we have isn't nagging or punishing, it's just understanding.